Does it seem like the month of patience is taking a really long time, or what? It does to me. I feel like the more we talk about patience, the more impatient I become for this particular month to be over. So I'm glad you're here, because last week we talked about patience in the struggle and the fact that each of us have a very long line that we need to stand in. It's different for all of us, but we have to keep standing in that really long line in order to develop that emotional muscle of patience, in order to be okay with the struggle and normalize the struggle so that we can be patient in the struggle. This week, in week 3, we're going to talk about what that struggle actually is. We're going to take a deep dive down into the territory, and we're going to pull apart struggle and take a look at what is that struggle? What are the dynamics of it? Why do we have to be patient with it? And what does this all look like? So there is a concept that my favorite author, Henry Cloud, he says that the good cannot begin until the bad ends. Now that is from his book, Necessary Endings. I am not getting paid to say that, but this is an excellent book and you can get it on Amazon. So the good cannot begin until the bad ends. Now this typically shows up in New Year's. This is the month of June, but in New Year's, we all start making our New Year's resolutions that we want a better life. We hope that this year is going to be better than last year. I don't know what happened last year, but this year's got to be better. I want better health, a better job, better relationship, whatever. But what we fail to realize is that we're holding on to some things that are holding us back. And what we're actually doing is this. We say that we want a better life this year, but we don't often realize, or sometimes we do, is that we're holding on to things that are keeping us from that better life, from that better year, from better relationships, a better job, whatever. And so we're going to talk about those endings, because if we don't let go of the ending, we're going to stay stuck. And many of us, myself included, I have been stuck for years, which is a whole nother long story, but we stay this way and we do this tug of war because we don't realize that we got to let go so that we can do this and have this better. So these endings that we're talking about, again, I broke them down into 3 categories. So there are natural endings, which would be retirement, death, maybe the completion of a project, or maybe we're moving away from home for the first time. This list could be a lot longer, but there are natural endings that we all go through living on planet Earth. Then there are the needed endings that we must go through in order to move forward. So those needed endings are things like relationships, addictions, maybe it's a business that we started that's not going so well, or maybe it's a business idea, a product, a marketing campaign, something that we thought was going to be really great and now it's a flop and it's costing us thousands of dollars. Maybe there's an employee that needs to be fired and they're still there 10 years later. Maybe it's a job, a career that we need to change and we're just hesitant to make that change. Maybe our finances either are not enough and it's costing our family a lot of chaos and a lot of consequences, or maybe we have so much but yet we just keep striving for more and more and more because that's how we identify ourselves with our finances, and that's how we say that we're good enough to the world, as if we have a whole bunch and we just keep striving. Maybe the culture in our family, in our office, in the board meeting, the volunteer committee that you're a part of, maybe that culture needs to change. Maybe we're complaining too much, we have a victim mentality, or maybe we feel like we don't have a voice. All of these things we can look at as identifying, okay, this needs to end. But there's a reason why it doesn't end. And sometimes we're not aware of what is actually holding us back. Why is that employee still there 10 years later? Why are you and your spouse still dealing with the same problem 10, 20, 30 years later? Why is that? So let's take it to the necessary endings. Now, this is my list. This is not Henry Cloud's list. So self-sufficiency, ego, arrogance, comfort, unhealthy attachments, beliefs, I'm not blank, behaviors, stubbornness, boundaries. Maybe we don't have the idea of what healthy boundaries are. Maybe we don't have any. Fear, insecurity, shame. This is where the work is. This is where the meat is. These necessary endings, these are the ones that have to change. We have to let go of those so that we can move forward. We think it's out here. We think it's the other people. We think it's the other relationship, the employee. They just need to try harder, do better. And we list these out as if those are the changes. But really what's going on, what's holding us back is this category right here, these necessary endings. Because, and I connected the dots just on one of these. Let's say that we're in a relationship where we love each other, but we're not in love. Or maybe we're in a relationship that is destructive and contentious. We never should have been in that relationship in the first place. Or maybe we have a healthy respect and love for each other, but it's just not, you know, what it could be. So we might have a belief going on, I'm not enough, and then who else will love me? And then the consequence, I will be all alone. Now, we don't necessarily say this. A lot of times what we'll say is, he's doing this, she's doing that, and we'll have every excuse in the world of why it's not going well. But really, we have this underlying belief that who else is going to love me? I'm not going to find anybody else, and then I'm going to be all alone, so I may as well just stay here. So we could attach these strings to all of these because they all have very real consequences. I might lose the account. I'm going to look bad in front of the committee or the office. I can't afford the expenses on my own. Will I be okay? Will I have support? What will I put in its place? What is my core value around this issue? Then of course there's the grief process that we have to go of you know, what we wanted, what we needed, what we lost, what we didn't get. This causes anxiety, and we have to have the reality of what's really going on. We have to be accountable, responsible. Again, there's the grief that none of us want to go through. We're going to be exposed. People are going to ask us questions. There's going to be consequences. So it's all of these felt emotions that we don't want to deal with and that we don't have the patience for. And that's why we stay like this. Sometimes we know that this is bad, but because it is so comfortable and what's over here is not known. We don't know what's over here. And so we just stay here. But what we don't realize is that we're just going like this. It's pulling us back further and further and further away from what we want because we don't have the patience to let go and to go to what we need and what we get because our ego's in the way. We're going to be vulnerable. We might have to change our words and our behaviors. We're going to be visibly practicing in front of people, which is a really scary thought. We might have to change our beliefs. There's all kinds of things that have to change inside of us around these external. There's a reason why you're not letting that employee go, right? There's a reason why the culture in your office or in your family is what it is. It's this fear. The fear of change, the fear of hurting somebody's feelings, the fear of confrontation, the fear of whatever it is, you know, that you put in its place. But we're not getting anywhere when we're doing this. We're just going backwards. And so these endings that have to happen in order to move forward, we have to have patience in that process. So next week, what we're going to talk about is patience in the beginnings. Because if we do let go, you know, we're like, a lot of times we're like this and we just stay stuck. And when we are, I just lost my train of thought. When we're strong enough to let go and end the things that need to end, then we can grab on to the beginning. And we think that this is going to leave us void. A lot of times but that's not what's going to happen. If we grab onto what is good, then we're going to fill ourselves with stronger character, stronger resources, stronger support so that we can let this go and actually move forward and actually have a better life and better relationships and better jobs and better careers. But it's all an inside job. It's all about our character and what it is that we are able to tolerate in that process. We have to be patient in that process. We have to tolerate the ugly in order to reorganize it and rearrange it so that we can move over to the good. I hope that was helpful. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I will see you next week in week 4 when we talk about beginnings. All right? Take care and have a good week.